Hey there everybody, it's the Daedalus07 here doing a review on my MoC, Toa Cynhika. Now a little bit of backstory about this MoC before the actual review. Cynhika was a MoC that I originally built sometime in 2015. She had a simple custom torso and some generic limbs. This here is a revamp of Toa Cynhika, which I started building sometime in December of 2016 and finished about halfway through February of 2017. In terms of story, she's one of the few remaining Toa that gets recruited by Takaiva. She's hot-headed, distrustful, and has a personal vendetta against Vernix, Tokuda of Earth. Now then, getting on to the actual review. To start, she has the standard 13 points of articulation, 3 in the legs, 3 in the arms, and 1 in the neck. But as well, she also has fingers. 2 fingers, and her thumb actually has 2 points of articulation because it can rock forward and backward, but then it can also twist and turn in and out. So, with an extra 4 points of articulation on each hand, that makes a total of 21. Her shoulders can also move up and down too, but that isn't really intentional, that's just bad design. Now, let's take off her weapon, and let's take a more in-depth look at the rest of her body parts. Her feet are nothing too special, these are just some simple heels that I threw together. I don't think I've seen anyone use this heel design before, so I can fairly confidently say that I came up with it. But if I'm wrong, then please don't condemn me. The shins are just inverted Rakshi limbs because I don't know any other method to make female limbs. That was sarcasm. Turning them around, we have these sloped, curved system pieces which act as her calves. Moving up the legs a little bit here, we have this, I guess it's gaining popularity. It's a new method of making knee joints. Essentially, you just take these round system plates and you sandwich some Technic parts in between 2 of them. And it just makes a really sturdy connection. And quite honestly, with knee joints, you're mostly just gonna have hinging motions anyways, so this is all you need, to be honest. It's a lot more sturdy than a ball joint, which I like. Moving up the legs a little bit more, we get to the thighs. Now, the thighs are actually one of my favorite parts on the build, just because I managed to fit so many parts, so many armor parts, in such a small space. In the front here, we have Cynhika shoulder armor, and turning her legs around, she has fluorescent hamstrings. And on the sides, she has these curved, sloped 2x1 system pieces to really flesh out the legs. Moving up the legs slightly more, we get to her battle skirt, which is just 2 skull spider masks on her hips. Initially, when I was building her, I did plan for her to have a full-on battle skirt using Kina's shoulder armor pieces, because I have like 8 of them. I wanted to attach them to like a Toa Metru Toa Mari, 2-piece, and then just wrap that 2-piece around her legs, but it became way too bulky and cluttery, so I just decided against it. Now, moving on to the arms. The hands are, well, if you've ever seen any hand design at all that uses the Mixels joint, then you already know what these are. I don't need to say anything about them. The forearms are just a simple assembly that I made using some Lego pieces. And then I slapped a CCBS shell on the outside to give her some armor. On the inside, I did use some system pieces to flesh out the inside of the arm. And this design here, that uses this system clip piece with this system dish and the T-bar, I originally saw that on MrBoltTron's Bythless version 5, so that's who I'm gonna credit with teaching me the design. Moving up the arm, the upper arms are just nothing special at all. I really wanted to use this shoulder armor because that was the armor that her original version used. And funny thing, when you turn the arm like this, it doesn't turn about the ball joint here. It actually turns the axle that's running up the entire upper arm. And you can clearly see that if I view it from this angle. Now, just like the shoulders, that wasn't intentional either, but I think it really lends itself nicely to posing just because it makes her arms really easy to move around. Like, look at this. I can turn them around with one finger, essentially. And now we move on to the torso. Starting with her crotch, this contouring that I made with the tooth pieces, it was actually inspired by Mira's outfit from the upcoming Justice League movie. If you go on Google Images and look up pictures, you'll notice that her armor actually does also have some lines going from her hips to her crotch section. Turning the torso around, we see that her butt plate is also connected with the same connection points, which is really neat. Moving up the back a little bit, we have a system piece here, which acts as her lower back. And this clip piece is where her weapon connects to, actually. Just like that. And her upper back kind of has like this weird backpack thing. I don't really know what to say about this, except that I did it because it worked. I didn't really have anything in mind. Turning the torso around, I really love her abdomen section. Honestly, if it wasn't for her thighs, the abdomen section would be my favorite. You know, you have some cheese slope pieces here, and then these tooth pieces. And I really like how these tooth pieces come together with this tooth piece to create a sort of like pattern like that. You know? I think it just flows really nicely. And this middle system piece right here, I could easily just replace it with this piece that I used for her hands, but I don't know. I like the look that the printed stuff adds, you know. And it doesn't really look too much out of place because it's white with some black and blue and a little bit red, but you can't really notice the red all too well because it's overshadowed by the black and the blue. So yeah. And now we get to the dreaded Nuva boobs. Taboo among all mocking communities because they make your mock appear over-sexualized and they protrude too much and stuff. Well, I'm here to say now that from her abs to the tip of her titties is only about the length of one stud. So it really doesn't protrude too much at all. And quite personally, I feel like if you know how to make it work, Nuva boobs aren't that bad. And I feel like I made them work fairly well here. Her mask is just Holly Mari's mask, Kanoe Faxon mask of the Kindred, I'm pretty sure. And yeah. That's the end of the review for Cynhika. Let's just take a quick look at her weapon. Now, her weapon is almost identical to her original weapon that her 2015 form uses. The only difference is I added these Technic panel pieces here, and then I made the whole thing a little bit longer to compensate. But aside from that, it's almost identical. And the neat thing is if you take off this blue piece here, you can actually put a Zammer sphere in there and launch it. So, yeah, I added some playability to my mocks, you know. And I guess that's about the end of the review. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like. If you have any critiques or compliments, be sure to leave them in the comments section. And if you really like what I do and want to see more, then be sure to hit that subscribe button because I have more videos on the way. But for now, peace.